Hey there, my friend, Tommy G here, and I'm about to go over the 3 medical marketing mistakes that's preventing your clinic from growing. But right now, let's jump into these top 3 things. Now, number 1 thing that we find with medical clinics is their branding and positioning in the marketplace is weak, right? It could always be stronger is what we find. And what that means is that it's not so much who you know, but who knows you. Like, does the marketplace know who you are, what you do, why you do it, and how they can get it, right? And that branding and positioning doesn't need to come from a position of like competing on price. You always want to compete on value. You don't want to worry about what the competition does, and you shouldn't have to, right? Also, you want to be able to have authority and influence in your area, and there's ways to do that. We call this like celebrity branding, that we can take a lot of the common elements that you see in Hollywood that makes, a lot of these stars like demand such crazy value is because of the positioning and branding that they put themselves in. And you can actually do the same thing inside of your own community, right? And then lastly, they're not leveraging super platforms properly. And super platforms meaning all of the internet. And that really starts first with your website. Like, is your website representative of the packaging and the quality and the service that your clinic provides, right? Does it clearly communicate? This is like your digital salesperson right here, your website. Is your salesperson properly displaying what it is that you do, how you do it, and who you do it for, right? That's a big part of it. And then furthermore, do you have the tracking and analytics that need to be in place so that you know what your marketing and your branding is doing? Which that brings me to the second big mistake that clinics are having, and that's a clunky sales process. So it's no secret what's going to grow your clinic is traffic plus conversions. I'm probably spelling that wrong, equals the money that you're making and the value that you're giving out to the marketplace. But what we see a lot is that clinics are lacking their business vitals, basically their key performance indicators. They don't know how much or what type of traffic that they're getting. And furthermore, they're not sure about what their actual conversion rates and numbers are. And are these, if they do know these numbers, are these viable vitals? Are these critical vitals? Or are we like, is it just a matter of time before we crash out? Or are these good, healthy vitals in the business? All right, that's a big part of it. And also not reviewing the data off, just like, with when you're treating patients, you got to constantly review before and after, like, did we get better or did we get worse, kind of thing. So that's a big thing, is reviewing. The other part of the sales process is going too narrow and not broad enough. So at any time, there's this thing called the buyer's pyramid. You can Google it. And at the broadest, this is the broadest audience right here, but they're also the most unaware of what you're doing. And then up here is the hottest people that are pretty much ready to buy. And statistics show that at 3% of the population is pretty much ready to buy at any time. It's really like who becomes that first branded and positioned person for the services gets the sale. And then the rest of this population is still, learning or needing to know what it is that they need to do. And what we find a big problem with clinics is that they're not going after this 90%. They're only operating on 3% of their income value, right? And so we actually put systems in place that allows them to build a pipeline from the broadest audience up to the hottest audience, okay? And there's a system that you can put into place that allows your staff to implement this so that you're not micromanaging everything, that allows you to take a week or two vacation and not see any drop in patient quality, revenue, or internal systems in your staff, right? So next part of this, we're going to be going into the checks and balances part. This is where kind of everything comes together with the big mistake. If you need to have somebody that's keeping an eye on the branding, keeping an eye on your traffic, looking at conversion rates, all right, looking at the overall sales process, meaning if you're paying for advertisements and they're going through a series of steps, okay, but at the end of it, you're not getting optimal results, there's probably like a leak somewhere in here. And you want to have that chief marketing officer, that one person that's eyeballing these leads, that's looking for these problems, so that then you can fix them and get this churning again and get this producing more results. Also, you need to have somebody managing the system for your pipeline, like what we just talked about with the buyer's pyramid and your sales process. You want to have somebody that's constantly looking at those numbers, so that, if it's not going to be you, like the doctor, all right, yourself, you need to have some kind of marketing personnel that understands the platforms, understands the data, understand the importance of what it means to the bottom line. Is this a scalable offer, right? And that's a big thing. And then you also need to have somebody that's able to train the staff to enhance every part of the team. A lot of times, we find that clinics have very great personnel, but they just lack, the staff isn't trained enough. They want to be trained. They want to be given scripts. They want to be given templates. They want to be given exactly what to say and how to say it, and they're happy to do it, but just the doctor doesn't have the time to do it, or the doctor hasn't been able to find the personnel to come in and do the proper training, okay? And then lastly is checks and balances, about leveraging tools and software to reduce hand-holding. This is a big thing that we see with clinics, is not understanding all the different tools that are available to them to eliminate the time burden on themselves, their staff, and so that you get the optimum performance from everybody. It raises everybody's game, all right? And so those are three big things that we're seeing in clinics, is, just to recap them, is weak positioning and branding, and that really starts with your website. You can look at it and say, does this really represent my quality of care? And do I have the infrastructure and analytics to, make sure that this is producing a result? The clunky sales process is, do you know your cost of acquisition? Do you know your lifetime value? Do you know what your lead value is? Do you know what your conversion rates are? These are all parts of the sales process you need to be asking yourself. And then checks and balances, do you have somebody that's monitoring all this stuff? If you're not doing it yourself, who is, right? Do you have systems and tools and resources for your team to use, so they're not constantly tugging at your coat asking for help, right? Well, that's what I want to end it with today, is to let you know that we do have a fix for this, right? Like here at Clinic Fix, we have a system that will create an instant authority for your brand. It will streamline your sales process, and we actually manage your entire team for you, allowing you to work less and earn more, all right?